This is the podcast that we ask our guests from in front and behind the camera, how did they get their foot in the door? What was the key to unlocking their success? What's their story?
Welcome to a bonus episode of the Life in Film podcast. Our guest today is the horror maestro of Happy Death Day, Paranormal Activity, Disturbia, and body swap comedy horror Freaky. Our guest today is writer-director Christopher Landon.
I'm a big fan of your work, and to see this film and get you is a real honor. And I just want to go back and ask, I work in the film industry as well. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, trying to get your foot in the door, trying to, you know, make that first movie, that first short, or whatever it may be. You've been in this game since the 90s, and I believe that, your first job was a short film that you wrote. Um, uh, how do you go from that to where you are now? I mean, like, what were the stepping stones for that first job, writing that script? How did you get interested in this?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's so funny. I look back on it and, it's a long journey. And it's a journey that's been filled with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of fits and starts. Um, going all the way back, I was one of those people that, I knew that if I wanted to have a career and if I was going to make movies, I was going to have to like be really tenacious, and fight tooth and nail for it and make opportunities, not wait for opportunities. And it's why I, stole, begged, and borrowed to make, my first short film. And then I was able to, I was really good at convincing people to give me things for free. So I convinced a local movie theater to give me the theater for free on an afternoon so I could screen it. And then I cold invited dozens and dozens of producers, to the screening and who didn't, I was a film student. They didn't know who the hell I was. But somebody showed up that saw it and loved the short film. And then that was sort of how I got my first break. And they said, do you have any writing samples? Have you written anything? And of course, because again, I was so passionate about the work, I did. I had written a bunch of scripts that I just had, and so I gave them what I thought was my best one. And they read it and liked it and hired me to write my first movie, which was called Another Day in Paradise. Um, and so it was like a little bit of luck, but a lot of just me being really proactive.
Mhm.
And this was obviously pre-YouTube, there's all these other, and also just the ability to like the technology now is so advanced, and the fact that you can make a film on your iPhone and you can cut it, at home on your laptop. There are so many new opportunities, I think, for filmmakers. But I do think it takes, like I said, it's you have to be, you have to be an idea person,
Mm.
um, and you have to really commit to a lot of different things to like push your career forward. And it's really funny because even now, after I've been doing this for so long, I don't feel any less scrappy than I
Mm.
was back then. Like I still feel like I have to fight for all of it, I have more access to the right people, but it doesn't necessarily make anything like easy, you know,
Yeah.
um, and still filled with disappointment. And I get told no all the time. I mean, I just had a project recently. There was a movie that I was really keen to
Mm.
direct, and they told me you're not right,
Wow.
and so it's the business, and you can't let that deter you.
Wow. It just shows you though, I mean, it's great that you've still got perspective on, where you came from, on what you've been through to get to where you are. Because I mean, it's so impressive to have done all the, the movies that you've done. Would that be your advice then to someone coming into the industry now to sort of just create your own work, perseverance, and just keep going, I guess?
1,000%, 1,000%. Like no one's gonna do it for you.
Mm.
There's no magic moment, really out there. It's very, very, very rare where like something falls into your lap or, it's everything. Every opportunity is the one that you make for yourself. And that's how
Mm.
I still operate, by the way. Like I don't wait for agents or other studios or people to bring me projects. Like
Mm.
Drop was a really unique situation for me where like, and it's also it's the first time I made a movie that I didn't write myself. because
Mm,
normally I'm the one that's generating the ideas and the work, and I'm the one sort of pushing it out there and trying to get people to pay attention to it,
mm.
and so that's no different now.
Now for a quick break. We'll be back to the episode shortly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now. Please leave us a positive rating. Add us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Life in Film Pod. Essentially, please like and subscribe everything. It makes a huge difference. Thank you. This podcast is sponsored by Betterhelp. Do you work in the film industry? Are you freelance? Or perhaps you have a 9 to 5? No matter what you do, mental health affects us all. I struggled early on in my career with the uncertainty of if and when I would ever work again, struggling to pay my bills or simply with anxiety. Don't know about you, but being an actor, it's very important for me to maintain structure in the downtimes, and I found not only exercise, but talking to someone for me was a game changer. And so Life in Film has partnered with Betterhelp to provide you with access to the largest online therapy service in the world. And it can all be done from the comfort of your own home, from a phone, tablet or laptop. No commute, cutting down travel costs, and most importantly, it's affordable. With over 1,000 therapists in the UK, Betterhelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise in mental health. If you need someone to talk to and you're thinking of giving therapy a go, BetterHelp is a great option. And being a listener of the podcast, you get 10% off. That's 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. That's betterhelp.com/lifeinfilm. And back to the show.
It's just a day, it's just a day, it's just a day.
This movie, Drop, is the kind of movie that I just love. You're there as an audience member, you're trying to figure it out as the characters figure out on screen. How did this project come about for you? And this is your wheelhouse, man. How did this project start?
So, I mean, I can go way back. So our producers, Brad and Cameron Fuller, they were on vacation, and having dinner, in this restaurant, and they started receiving airdrops from somebody in the room. And they spent the whole night trying to figure out who it was. And they were never able to figure it out, but they felt like there was like a kernel of an idea there, like there was some kind of a movie in that experience. And so they found our writers, uh, Chris and Jill, and they're the ones who sort of developed it into a thriller. And then Brad and Cameron contacted me when they had a first draft, and they felt like I was well suited for the material, and so they sent me the script. It was an early draft, and I read it. I loved the concept. It was such a page turner. I love a classic whodunit. I felt like it was a kind of movie that isn't being made enough anymore, especially for the cinema. And I just loved how sort of Hitchcockian and modern it felt. And so it was a big yes, very, very
Mm.
fast for me.
I mean, it's a great. I was telling a friend that I was going to see it, and they were like, "So what's it about?" And I mean, just the kind of the setup alone, it like gets you like this. I don't want to give too much away because I think this is a film that you want to go and see without really knowing too much, and so that you can figure out for yourself when you're watching it. But in terms of the two sort of lead characters, the dynamic is brilliant. In terms of casting and getting involved that side of it, did you always know that they were the right people for the jobs, or was there kind of a wide search for those characters?
No, no. I mean, it wasn't a wide search at all. I was a huge fan of Megan Fahey's after I saw her on season 2 of White Lotus, and I think she's such a magnetic actress, but also really approachable. There's just a very strong likability factor with her, and I felt like she was so perfectly suited for Violet. And so, I aggressively pursued her, and was so thrilled when she agreed to sign on, because that really felt like that was the centerpiece of the whole movie, and I needed to really figure that out. And then Brandon Sklenar was another one that he's a big fan of his work. And it's interesting because, he sort of is the damsel in distress in this movie. And I wanted someone that I think was really sort of like, he's like a big masculine guy. And I think that was such an interesting color to that role, because normally he's the guy saving somebody. You know what I mean? Like that's typically what Hollywood would do with that kind of an actor. And I just thought that they made like a really beautiful couple. I wanted to see them at a dinner table together, and I wanted to see them fall in love. And he's just got a lot of charm. He's just a very, very charming guy, and has a kind of a soft and quiet sort of way about him that I really appreciate.
Mm. Well, it's funny you say that. That was something that when I was watching it, you're kind of expecting certain things to happen. And one of them was, maybe there is a moment where you think, well, he's going to do something now.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not going to give it away, but it doesn't follow those tropes. And it keeps you guessing the whole way through. You seem to be really attracted to these kinds of projects, like, horror, thrillers, things that, this film builds tension. I mean, there's no let up for this film. Pretty much within about 5 minutes of the film starting, the tension starts and it doesn't let up. How do you create that and keep that momentum and for the audience to have their sort of, hands clasped to the seat?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just about, first and foremost, it's the script. It's like, what do we have there on the page, and it felt that way reading it, I was chewing my nails reading the script. And so it felt like, that's where it all really begins. And then of course it goes into performance, an amazing cast who you can easily invest in. And then it was really just about how we approached, the production, like how we shot the movie, the design of the restaurant. It's it's the first time in my career where I think I've been quite as stylized as I was here. And that was really because I wanted to put the audience inside of Violet's head. And I think that helps sort of create more of the tension because you really are experiencing this movie from her point of view and sort of the torment and the hell that she's going through. And so I think that's something that adds a lot to the tension. And then, of course, I'm a huge fan of a single location movie. I feel like when you trap an audience in one place, it automatically feels suspenseful and claustrophobic. And so I think it's all those elements that kind of come together that sort of make this thing feel so tightly wound and suspenseful.
Was that a real place or is that all a set?
It's a set. Yeah, we designed and built our own restaurant. It was amazing. It was just such a incredible achievement to be able to build an actual restaurant.
No, it's interesting because when I was, after I finished the film had finished and everything else, it kind of struck me. I was like, that restaurant looks amazing. I wonder if that's a real place. But you
Yeah,
did obviously
no.
a very good job. Yeah, it looked incredibly real.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how convenient that there's all these, she goes to the bathroom and everything is all kind of close and linked, and it makes sense that,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, we
that's
made it.
built. Yeah,
It was a huge challenge, especially on a movie with a pretty modest budget. Um, but yeah, just an incredible team. And it's so nice to have a set that, is built toward the story, and so it just gave me so much freedom, to shoot the movie the way I wanted to shoot it and to do all of these really unique lighting sort of things that we did in the movie. And yeah, it was a kind of a dream to shoot on that set.
again, really enjoyed the movie, and I'm looking forward to see what you do next. I see that you've got arachnophobia on the sort of in the near distance. Is that a real thing? I mean, IMDb is you can never trust
No,
it.
no, that was a project that I was involved in a while ago.
Mm.
I wrote a really fun script, but we sort of ended sort of parting ways over creative differences, and
Ah,
so yeah, it's a bummer.
gutted,
But
man. I would have
they'll
loved to
make
have
it.
seen you do that.
I know. I was very excited about it. I happen to be arachnophobic, so I was either the
Mate,
best or the
yeah,
worst person for the
would have
job.
been a tense shoot. Well, Christopher, thank you so much, and I appreciate you taking the time, man.
No, I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to support us, get early access and exclusive content and episodes, click to join our YouTube channel and become a member now. Thank you to our guest Christopher, and thank you to Chris and his team at Alternate Current. As always, thank you to our sponsor, BetterHelp.